Hello and welcome you crazy people, my name is Jay, and in this video we're going to talk about the main problem with the cash shop for Amazon's New World, and I don't think it's going to be what you think I'm going to say, but we'll see. I very nearly titled this video how the reaction to the pay-to-win possibilities have been a bit of an overreaction, but then I realised, actually I think it's the correct reaction, but we're not doing the correct reaction elsewhere, and we'll get onto that in a moment. So for those of you who don't know, Amazon, they did some patch notes for New World under NDA, some alpha patch notes, and they talked about having some quality of life items and some XP boosts in the cash store. This did not go down well. They since said, hey, it's not going to be available at launch, we value our players' time, etc., whatever, all PR guff, but that's what they said. And then here we are afterwards, people saying, I'm not going to play the game, a lot of angry people online, etc., me included, but you know what I mean. And a bit of me just thinks, hey, let's have a look at other games and see what is the differentiator here. Why is this created such a vigorous reaction? Because quite frankly, a lot of the main popular MMOs do have level boosts and XP boosts and level skips and that kind of thing. Final Fantasy XIV has one, World of Warcraft has one in both Classic now and the retail game. Guild Wars 2, Elder Scrolls Online, they have like level XP boosts that you can buy in the store. Black Desert Online also has like an outfit I think you can get that increases your XP. You know, those games all have ways to basically minimize the leveling experience. I think the next biggest game I can think of that probably doesn't would probably be like EVE Online and maybe Albion, but I don't really want to get into like game specifics. But the point being is a lot of these games have boosts, XP boost one way or another. So what is the difference between New World doing it and those games doing it? And quite frankly, it's time and marketing. Now what I'm going to say here would perhaps be saying to Amazon to be a little bit dishonest about the situation, but if they would have kept quiet, nobody would have known about this, not posted it in your NDA alpha notes, you would have just kept this to yourself and you would have done a level boost, XP boost 6 months, 12 months down the line, the reaction would be a lot more minor. It would not have been so great. Now that would have been a little bit dishonest on their part, and I'm happy in the sense that we've got this out there, but quite frankly I think that's the truth, because I'm not sure about those other MMOs. I know for World of Warcraft the level boost came like much later, several expansions down the line, but quite frankly a lot of people are less bothered once everybody's already had a chance to level up and stuff like that. It's mainly a problem if you were going to have it at launch. I'm not sure if every game in that I just listed had them at launch or didn't have them at launch, etc. But the fact that this has come out 4 months before your game is due to launch, and the way that it came out, it being a bit like, well, it felt like they were trying to hide it because it's under NDA and stuff like that. It just didn't feel very good. Now, I'm not saying here that level boosts are good and that, you know, it's okay 6 months, 12 months down the line. I think the impact actually would be less and people's reaction would be less, but I'm not saying they're good. But also I'm saying here that we don't react this way to other games having them in their games right now. All those popular games that I just mentioned have a lot of players. They are the main popular game in the West, so they have a lot of players, they have XP boosts. We're now, as a community, it seems like saying, no, Amazon New World, we no longer want them. And not just at launch, we don't want them, but we don't want them ever. That's what basically some people are saying. And I agree with that. I think that's actually the correct thing to do. But I do think we are missing a trick here by not trying to get other companies to change their games to remove XP and level boosts, right, and stuff like that. So I do agree with Kira that the game companies are basically creating a problem and then selling you the solution. They are saying, hey, our leveling, not really the main part of the game anymore, so pay and skip it. We should be saying to like World of Warcraft people and stuff like that, hey, why don't you just remove your leveling experience to be this chore and make it fun, or make it much quicker. I think there's like a Chinese game where basically they've had several expansions or what have you, and you can now catch up in basically like 3 hours or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, fine, they've admitted it, that basically they want you to be more towards the end game. They're going to change the game to be like that. Now the problem with Amazon and New World, again in PR terms, they're doing this before the game has come out. So you can definitely levy the charge at them as, hey, if you're saying right now, once players are max level, you want your casual player base to catch up, why don't you just change the leveling experience so that's the case? Either make it more fun so they enjoy it, or maybe modify the leveling rested XP boost, which Kiwi talked about and I mentioned in my last video. Because at one point they nerfed it, then they slightly buffed it, and they nerfed it again a little bit. Basically, that's going up and down. But you can design your game in a way that allows a catch-up mechanism without paying for it. But the game companies don't have much incentive to do that for you, because we will pay for it. So they're making money by not designing correctly, and they may as well just not design properly and value your time. A lot of MMOs these days are not valuing your time because they are making money off not valuing your time. And that's a problem. I do quite like the sales model of Ashes of Creation, where it's going to be like buy to play and then a subscription and cosmetics. Yes, I know there is an issue with cosmetics, but we'll not talk about that too much here. But that system's fine, and Steven himself did make a bit of an unprofessional statement, taking the mick out of New World and Amazon and stuff like that. And, you know, people are getting, he apologised on Reddit about it and stuff like that, but people are getting a bit upset with him there, and I really just don't think it's warranted. Yeah, a little bit unprofessional, but it's not really the end of the world. And, but yeah, that sales model, having a subscription fee, does mean that you've got to keep the players interested in your game. You've got to keep them having fun. And the minute you start taking the mick out of people's times, they'll stop. Whereas something like a free-to-play game or just a buy-to-play game, you buy it, and then the company, yeah, they want you to play, but they're more interested in just like getting money from you because they've not got any other revenue source. A player that's been playing New World for 6 months, who's not bought any cosmetics, just costing Amazon money at that point. Whereas if a new player bought the game, well, they've just sold the game. Do you know what I mean? It's more interesting for them to get new players than it is to retain old ones, unless they, you know, start selling you stuff on the cash store that you actually want as an existing player. So yeah, I do think there's a problem with games and MMOs specifically just not respecting people's times. And I do think that the reaction to this feels a little bit more harsh because of the timing of it, which I'm not saying is right or wrong, but that's just the truth, I think. And I do wish we would continue that sort of like dislike against XP boosts for other games. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a New World lover or whatever. Yes, I'm excited to have a new MMO and stuff like that, but I'm not paid by them or anything like that. So I think we should keep pressuring New World to maybe just scrap them altogether, and we should possibly pressure other games to scrap them altogether as well. And I also think that Amazon have just shown its naivety by having this be announced, leaked, whatever, before the game came out. This should not have come out now. This should not have been any kind of peep heard about this for the minimum of 3 months. Minimum. Probably more like 6 months. But now it just shows that it feels like Amazon do not respect the casual player base's time because they want to charge you to skip the content that they are making for you. And that's whilst they are making it. That's a bit of a problem. So, yeah. That's it. The main problem is Amazon's marketing. they naffed it, basically. I still think the game will be reasonably popular. I don't think this is going to like put too much pressure on the game. They'll still make a profit. They'll still be popular because, quite frankly, there's not going to be that much in terms of competition from any of the big contenders. There's a few other MMOs coming out and stuff like that, but nothing massive. So I think it's going to slot in nicely. I think most people will be happy with the game. I don't think it will ultimately be pay to win, but I do think we should pressure companies to respect everybody's time, including the casuals, perhaps a little bit more. Like and subscribe. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye.